So when it comes to the Elder Scrolls Online, I have some pretty mixed emotions. I know that I haven't really done a lot of videos on it, and that's mainly because for me, it's always been a hard thing to really talk about. On a technical level, I do think it's a pretty competent game, and probably one of the best MMORPGs I've ever played. But on the other hand, it just doesn't feel enough like an Elder Scrolls game, and if I really wanted to experience that world, I'd probably just rather play Oblivion or Skyrim again. Despite that though, this game is still incredibly popular, and every single time they release a new expansion, this game's player base gets bigger and bigger. So today I want to talk about why I just can't enjoy the Elder Scrolls Online as much as everybody else. So I've actually attempted to make a video on this subject before. However, every time I start to tackle this, I realize that there's just so much in scope, and a lot of my reasons are a little bit petty. Also, in the past, I was suffering from debilitating OCD, which made it incredibly difficult to do anything. But now I am cured.
I think treated is far more appropriate, don't you?
So I first got Elder Scrolls Online at launch day, and I believe I did actually participate in one of the betas. I can't quite remember because that was a really long time ago, but that was during a time when MMORPGs were still pretty popular. However, they were on their downward descent, and I think Elder Scrolls Online came out at probably the worst possible time it could. And when they originally announced Elder Scrolls Online, it just looked like a fancy EverQuest, which if I had to guess is probably exactly what it was supposed to be. The game ended up being somewhere in between a proper Elder Scrolls game and, still just a World of Warcraft ripoff. And while it's surface level, it does really feel like it is an Elder Scrolls game, but multiplayer. There's a lot of really important pieces that are missing that just make this game feel out of place. I think one of the big things for me is the NPCs. In Oblivion and Skyrim, you have NPCs that are walking all over the place, they're doing things, they're talking to each other, and in Elder Scrolls Online, they don't really move at all. You do have occasionally followers who'll follow you around, and in the new expansion that's coming out in a few days, we're going to be getting companions, which sounds awesome. I'm kind of looking forward to that. However, the general NPCs themselves just stay in the same spot and maybe occasionally kind of pace back and forth. And while that is actually a bit more akin to what we got to in Morrowind, at this point in time, it felt like it was a step backwards. The Elder Scrolls had built itself as a real living place that you were participating in. But the Elder Scrolls Online feels a lot more like it's a theme park. A place where you can visit and buy some souvenirs. However, all the NPCs are really just paid actors pretending to give a shit about their job. And I think that theme park feeling is made even worse when you can see all the other players just running around hopping about like bunnies, breaking the whole illusion. However, even though these two things create a problem when it comes to realism and immersion that the baseline Elder Scrolls games are so good at achieving, these are both things that are going to be really difficult to solve. Fallout 76, for example, did attempt to solve it. For one, they decided just to get rid of NPCs altogether, and for two, they limited the amount of players you could actually have in your game world. Now, obviously, getting rid of the whole NPCs thing was the wrong way to go about it. However, even when they did finally introduce NPCs, they feel cordoned off. Once again, it's still basically a theme park. I think Skyrim did suffer from this a little bit just because all the NPCs were very on rails, but even then, it was still choreographed in a way that it would require multiple viewings before you really could break that immersion. Something that I've obviously experienced since I've played this game way too many times.
Am I supposed to be impressed?
However, on your first couple playthroughs, Skyrim still really feels very immersive and realistic. But as soon as you drop yourself into the Elder Scrolls Online, you can tell that it's just not the same. Now, if they did decide to make the NPCs have legitimate schedules and interact with people like they do in Oblivion or Skyrim, that could actually cause some major problems. So, unfortunately, there's really no solution to this theme park problem. I think the game that solved that issue the best was probably Star Wars Galaxies, because instead of relying on the NPCs, you mostly relied on the other players, which is something that, to be fair, Fallout 76 was attempting to do. It just didn't do it in a very good way. Also, Star Wars Galaxies still had NPCs. They didn't just get rid of them altogether. What do you think of Bethesda? That's right, I'm gonna trash 2 games in one. It's a twofer. You're getting a good deal today. Additionally, with the NPCs, there's a very limited amount of facial emotions you can get from them. In Oblivion and Skyrim, there's a lot of subtle emotions you could read off their characters' faces. Plus, there was things like they could do that helped amplify the scene itself. But in Elder Scrolls Online, it feels incredibly flat, like, the NPCs are, just not very good at acting or whatever, which makes it really hard to kind of care about what's going on because you have one guy who's like, oh my god, my house is on fire. It's like, are you upset? I can't It seems like you're not bothered. Did you do this yourself? Are you committing insurance fraud? But like I said, those are obviously issues that are going to be very difficult to actually solve, especially on a game of this scale. As for the combat, I think they did a decent job trying to emulate it. Quite frankly, I don't think Elder Scrolls has ever had good combat, so I mean, it's not like it's a big issue that it's not good here. It's just like, yeah, that's classic Elder Scrolls. In some ways, I do think the combat in the Elder Scrolls Online is actually better than it is in Skyrim. But in other ways, I really just don't enjoy all the hotkeys and all the skills you have to learn, because it's really just a way of tricking me into thinking that there's a lot of stuff in this game when really there's not. And at the end of the day, it makes absolutely zero difference. As for the skills, by the way, it's really frustrating when I stop playing this game for a while and then I come back and all of my skills have been reset and I have to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to put this into. When a new expansion comes out and I want to go play this game again, I don't want to have to spend the first 2 hours trying to figure out what the hell my skills are supposed to be. That's not enjoyable gameplay. That's bad gameplay, which often leads me to just creating a whole new character and just experiencing the new expansion that way, which I have to say, the fact that that's even an option is just amazing for an MMO. I mean, games like SWTOR, if you want to experience the new thing, you either have to pay extra money to get an upgraded character, or you just have to grind your character's level up until you can finally get there, and so you can do their half-hour expansion that they just released. It's probably not even worth all the time you just put into upgrading this stupid character. So yeah, that's why I have no characters in Elder Scrolls Online that are the max level or even close. Now, there definitely are some expansions in this that I think are really good. I think the Dark Brotherhood is one of those, and I think the Thieves Guild, even though I haven't played it a whole lot, was also pretty good. And I really like that they're starting to lean more into nostalgia than they used to originally. A lot of the cities at first looked absolutely nothing like they did in the video games before, and now ZeniMax Online is like, oh, wait a minute, maybe we should make them, you know, not look completely different. Maybe that's a good idea. You think, ZeniMax? Additionally, I have to criticize the loot boxes, which are honestly not even worth it. Like, is there ever anything good you can get from these loot boxes? Because I don't think so, which I guess, okay, fine, I guess that's one way of not, you know, pressuring people into getting them. Although I know there's a lot of like Twitch streamers and stuff. I don't know if they still do it, but I know there used to be a lot of Twitch streamers who would just like spend tons of money on these and then stream themselves opening it, which is like, why? Are people watching this? I can understand opening like a Pokemon booster pack or whatever, but loot boxes in Elder Scrolls Online that at best have a slightly interesting horse in. I know that I said the loot boxes in Genshin Impact didn't really bother me. In this situation though, it is kind of frustrating because you pay a lot for a lot of this stuff, and you can pay for a subscription, plus you still have to pay for all the loot boxes. You don't just get stuff for free like you can get in Genshin Impact. I mean, I imagine they're probably making a lot of money off of them, but why? I think the biggest problem for me though is the fact that it's still really just another MMORPG at its core, which I pretty much completely burnt myself out on. At the end of the day, there's only just so much you can take of the same formula over and over again before you just absolutely hate it. With that said though, if you do still enjoy MMORPGs, I can totally understand why you enjoy this game, because quite frankly, I think of the ones that are available, this one is just the best and most polished and most interesting. And the fact that you can still kind of play it like you would an Elder Scrolls game also makes it a little bit more intriguing. But at the end of the day, anytime I try and sit down and enjoy this game, I just start thinking, I wish I was playing something else. I wish I was just playing a regular Elder Scrolls game. This game will probably always remain as just one of those games that I kind of like, but also at the same time, I just don't really have fun playing. If you're interested in more terrible opinions that I have, I did a video on Dragon Age Origins, a game that for a long time I remember as being the best one, but I was kind of curious if it held up. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
Congratulations! You're free to go.